We're pretty obsessed with viruses at the moment. But did you know that viruses, bacteria, microbes and fungi are all over the inside and outsides of our bodies?
They're everywhere.
But if we can keep them in the right balance, this can contribute towards making us healthier and happier. You might have seen on some TV adverts the mention of healthy bacteria that lives in our gut. Well, this is known as the microbiome, and it's made up of trillions of bacteria, viruses, microbes and fungi. Now, to put this into perspective, we also have trillions of cells that make up our entire body, which raises the question, does the microbiome live within us, or do we live around the microbiome?
Mind-blowing.
Yeah, I know, right? We tend to think of these viruses and bacteria generally as being negative. However, in the microbiome, research has shown that there's an undoubted level of symbiosis at play. So it's like in nature where we have the shark and the pilot fish and the hermit crab and the sea anemone. We rely on a thriving, healthy microbiome just as much as it relies on us. There are now links in research that show improvement in the microbiome, which is also known as improving gut health, can also help with a variety of mental health disorders. I mean, 10 years ago, if we'd said that problems with our gut health could be contributing towards depression or anxiety, would probably have led to you being laughed out of the room. But now we're not just saying that, we're also saying that there are potential links to microbiome irregularities and obesity and diabetes and a host of other health conditions. And we've really only started to scratch the surface. It is really fascinating stuff and quite excited to think of what's going to happen in the future. But a question I get asked a lot is, should I take probiotics to help my gut health? And usually it's a yes, but perhaps not in the way that you're thinking. So just hang in there with me for a while and we'll answer that question as we move through the video. First of all, before we try and give a solution to a problem, we need to first understand what it is we're dealing with. So let's take a look at how the gut works in a very, very basic way. The gut, which is made up of the small and large intestine, has a few main tasks. It helps to extract energy from food. It absorbs nutrients and water, so things like your vitamins and your minerals. It also removes waste products such as... That's right. So therefore, if our gut isn't working efficiently, it can start a cascade to cause a huge potential list of problems if it's not identified and improved. Probiotics aim to help improve the amount of healthy bacteria in our gut and balance things out in order to protect the gut and keep it working well. One of the most common ways to take probiotics is through supplements in the form of capsules. Now there's literally thousands to choose from and can be quite overwhelming when you're trying to pick the right one that's for you. But before we go down that rabbit hole, let's back up a little bit, and before we look at the supplements, we need to get the basics right. First, we need to take a good look at our basic diet. Supplementing a diet that's full of processed foods, refined carbohydrates, processed sugars, etc., with a wonderful high-performing probiotic is unfortunately a little bit like putting glitter on a turd.
Say what now?
It might sparkle, but it's still a turd.
Let's move on, shall we?
So step one should be to eat a diet including a wide variety of vegetables, legumes, pulses and fruits that are high in fibre. And the closer you can eat them to their natural form, the better. Eating a microwaved bean and vegetable chili from a packet is not really the way to go. Try and buy it fresh and cook it yourself. Step two is to increase the amount of fermented foods in your diet to act as a probiotic. Got kombucha, which is a fermented tea, kimchi, which is fermented vegetables, much more common in Korean culture especially. You have kefir, which is a fermented milk, and sauerkraut, fermented cabbage, and yogurt, with live cultures. It doesn't count if it's just a normal yogurt. Now you can purchase these from any supermarket, or you can get them online, and you can even better, give them a try to make yourselves. Now steps 3 and 4 really count at all times in our life, but we'll just put a reminder in there. So step 3 is to get good quantity and quality of sleep. And it goes without saying that if you don't sleep enough, it can lead to health problems. But research has also shown that just like us, our microbiome also has a natural circadian rhythm.
The what? The what?
Those little bacteria and viruses, benefit from us sleeping well. And step 4 is to try and minimize stress. Any excess prolonged periods of stress in our lives have been shown to have very much a detrimental effect, not only on our bodies, but also on the microbiome. And as a side note, we could also talk about the overtaking of antibiotics. Now it's great to clear the infectional pathology, but it does also cause disruption and imbalance to the microbiome, which can potentially lead to an overgrowth of bad bacteria such as Candida. Now that we've got ourselves doing the basics well, let's take a look at probiotic supplements. Consensus would be that on the whole, if your body is healthy and you're doing steps 1 to 4 well, you shouldn't have too much need for probiotic supplementation. However, in certain populations, I would certainly be more likely to recommend it. These might include people with inflammatory bowel conditions such as ulcerative colitis, and anecdotally, in people who have experienced some kind of gastrointestinal damage, gut damage, caused by food intolerances or allergies. For example, people with inflammatory bowel syndrome and perhaps celiac disease. But if you're looking to take probiotics, then there are a couple of simple tips that I can give you when you're scrolling through those pages of supplements.
I'm listening.
Try and get a supplement that's got enteric coated capsules. This gives a greater chance of the probiotic actually reaching your gut rather than being completely dissolved and destroyed in the gastric juices of your stomach. Also, you'll notice that there are a certain number of CFUs contained in each capsule. We'll say it on the label. Now this number should be at least 5 billion. And there are a couple of brands that we do trust, and we've got some links to their products in the description for this video. Probiotics are really interesting, and no doubt we'll learn more about how they work, how effective they are, and which are best for each individual as we learn and understand more about the microbiome. So it'll sort of go hand in hand. Even though at the moment there's no definitive answer to say how effective probiotic supplements are, we should always remember to listen to our bodies. If you've certainly noticed an improvement since you've started taking them, then that should be good enough reason for you to continue. If you're not sure if you're feeling any difference or you haven't noticed a change, then you could always stop taking them temporarily and either make a mental or written note to see if you do feel any difference later on. Just see it as an experiment, which at the end of the day, life is one sort of big experiment really, in order to find out what's working best for you. But thank you for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please do put them in the comments, and we'll do our very, very best to reply to as many as we can. Also, it'd be great to hear about any experiences that you've had with probiotics or gut health in general. It could, you never know, your comment could end up helping someone else in the community and making a big difference. But if there's anything you'd like us to talk about in the future, again, please feel to pop it in the comments and we'll get to work. So get working on those steps 1 to 4 in order to help your microbiome, and we'll see you soon. Bye now.